Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiast. You know what? The Frankfurt Motor Show is only in a handful of days, and it looks like a cracking great show. Tons of really cool stuff going to be showing off in Frankfurt, so let's take a peek at what some of these vehicles may end up being. First up on the list, well, this is kind of some art that doesn't make much sense, but this is from Jaguar. Jaguar is going to show off a brand new vehicle called the CX-17 over at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Now, it's kind of unclear what this vehicle is going to be, but if you look at it, it kind of maybe looks a little crossover-ish or SUV-ish, which brings up an interesting issue. Land Rover and Jaguar are both under the same umbrella under Tata Motors out of India, and there's an unwritten rule that Land Rover is going to build the SUVs, Jaguar is going to build the cars. Well, apparently, maybe there's going to be somewhat of a gray area when it comes to a crossover. Maybe. We'll see in a handful of days at Frankfurt what exactly Jaguar has up their sleeve. Speaking of up their sleeve and speaking of a crossover or an SUV or I don't know what the heck this thing is, this is Lexus' brand new concept. Now, it is the LF-NX. Now, this particular vehicle is, I don't know. It's not very attractive to me. It may be fantastically attractive to you. This being said, the brand new nose for Lexus that they've come up with, this new hourglass grille, if you will, kind of with sharper edges, I absolutely love. I think it's transformed modern Lexus vehicles because they were kind of bland and boring, except for a couple of Lexus vehicles. But this vehicle, I think, is wickedly busy. I think that you could park this thing out in front of your house and stare at it for 10 days and probably not stare at the same piece twice. Not to mention, it's ugly. I don't know. There's no other better way to say it. No word on what exactly this vehicle is going to be all about. No word on drivetrain or where the power is going to end up going to transmission-wise. There's one little shot of the interior, but it doesn't tell you much, especially that it is a concept, which means that it won't look anything like that if it ever comes to production. Not for sure where Lexus is planning on going with this vehicle, but the water will be a little bit clearer in Frankfurt, and we'll keep you on top of what may be this vehicle's future. Speaking of a vehicle's future, the brand new Yaris HybridR is going to be shown off at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Now, this particular model is, well, it's not too shabby looking if you ask me. It's a pretty good looking automobile. Now, the power for this vehicle is still pretty intense. It will be all-wheel drive, but it's going to be a little bit different. Obviously, it's going to be a hybrid version. Being 300 brake horsepower out of a turbo four-cylinder, it's going to be powering the front wheels. And then it's going to have 3 electric motors, 2 of them powering the rear wheels, making 60 brake horsepower each, and a center-mounted electric motor that's actually going to be used as a generator, top off the batteries, keep them all in top running condition, keep for acceleration and performance from this automobile. I think the automobile looks great, so I'm hoping that Toyota actually runs with it and builds it, because I think there needs to be a vehicle like this. You know, you've seen somewhat of the boring ho-hum hybrids that a lot of eco people like to drive. And then there's the high-end, the high-performance supercar type stuff that's pretty cool. Why can't there be a high-performance hybrid for the masses? I think this would be a pretty sweet little automobile. So, Toyota, you've got my blessing. Build this automobile. Next up on the list, sad news. It was about this time last year that the Gumpert folks were actually in insolvency and were actually going down the bankruptcy line where the manufacturer was going to be no more. Well, apparently, what came in at the 11th hour, there was a big influx of cash from a secret investor who came in and was going to save this automobile company. Well, apparently that deal's now fallen through, or whatever's happened to this deal, because it sounds like that they're laying off employees again and they may going to be right back into bankruptcy once more. There could still be a savior for this company as of yet, as it's only in the first initial stages of the bankruptcy proceedings in Germany, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a shame. One of the fastest cars, in fact, the fastest car around the Nordschleife loop at the Nürburgring. Be a shame to see that this car will be no more. Speaking of the Nordschleife loop, speaking of a lap record, McLaren's in the news. The brand new P1 has supposedly been doing some reconnaissance laps around the Nordschleife loop. And apparently McLaren's a little bit upset about this. Reports are floating out that the car did 7 minutes and 4-second lap, which is mind-boggling super fast. Not as fast as the Gumpert. Not as fast even as a Radical, which doesn't really matter to me because the Radical is, okay, it's got enough stuff to make it road legal in some countries, but it's still just a full-blown race car to me. You would never drive that thing on the street. That being said, maybe you wouldn't drive the Gumpert on the street as well. But McLaren come out, and I think that they were hoping for, there was talks at least, McLaren was mumbling about that they were hoping to be able to do at least 5 seconds quicker, which is going to be putting them in a sub 7-minute lap. Now, to put this in a little bit of context, in the United States, the fastest car around the Nürburgring, in fact, it's probably one of the faster cars anyway, is the Viper ACR. This vehicle did a 7-minute and 12-second, in fact, 7-minute, 12.13-second lap. So, pretty doggone quick automobile, but to think that the McLaren here could be, if it gets down sub 7, be over 12 seconds a lap quicker is fast. So, McLaren's supposedly going to do a little bit more work and bring this thing back to the Nordschleife loop for hoping that they're going to be able to increase that time, or shouldn't say increase it, but decrease that time around the ring. So, we'll wait and see what comes of this in the future. Next up on the list, remember back in the days when Audi revolutionized world rallying by building the Audi Quattro. It brought four-wheel drive to rallying and showed that rallying was meant to do in four-wheel drive. That may get me a little bit of hate mail just there. One of my favorite automobiles of all time, and then Audi over the past several years has shown up this particular concept, the Audi Quattro concept, which I just can't say in it as many times as I have to, that Audi, you need to build this car because it's fantastic. Well, at Frankfurt in a handful of days, this vehicle is going to be shown off. This is the brand new Audi Sport Quattro. Now, the thing looks about as close to, well, as close to production ready as the last one did. But listen to some of the stuff this thing has. Twin turbocharged V8 putting out, well, wait for it, because there's also a 110 kilowatt electric engine to help that in a little bit. And the combined is going to be putting out just north of 700 brake horsepower. This thing is going to be a monster. And obviously because it's a Quattro, it means that all four wheels are going to be digging. The thing's going to be fast. Now, here's a little bit of the downside. Audi won't build a 700 horsepower Audi Quattro. They just won't. It just won't happen. Because think about it. The R8 is up there. Their mid-engine all-wheel drive automobile. They are not going to build a car to go head-to-head with an already vehicle that's already out of their stable. The R8 just won't be done. Now, this being said, they could build this car. Make it about 500 brake horsepower. Keep it with the hybrid setup. That would be fantastic in my mind. But bump up the old R8, the V8, and the V10 to maybe be making somewhere around 600 and almost 700 horsepower. Then you could put this car right up in line. It would be perfect to me. And I hope Audi does build this automobile. This would be a fantastic piece to see on the street. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motor Cars Enthusiast. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. It'll take you right over there. Don't have to be a member of Facebook to check it out. But if you are a member of Facebook, give us a like, and you can check out all the pictures that we put up every day, little videos and stuff. Not to mention, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs of brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.